Hello, everybody. Nate Budashevitz here. Welcome to the first episode of Buddha Talks Hoops. Looking forward to just having a place to talk some hoops and get some funny takes out there and get some guests in the future. And I think this is a good time to start because although there is a lot of basketball to talk about, I think it's going to be a build up towards the better basketball and some of the more interesting things to talk about down the road. We got March Madness, we got the NBA playoffs, then NBA offseason. And right now there's a lot of hoops going on, but I think it's a good time to take a second, look around the league, see which teams are in a little bit of a waiting pattern, and then which teams we can make some claims about. So today we're going to talk about the bottom of the NBA and the state of the union, so to speak, of those teams. So looking forward to getting to it. But first, just want to say again, thanks for hopping on the channel. Looking forward to, at first, talking by myself, but soon get some NBA pals on the pods and talk some hoops. Today, rocking the Steph Curry Warriors jersey. I just copped this in San Francisco for $11 at a thrift shop where a guy was rolling a joint as he was checking me out. So definitely got the San Francisco experience with this one. This is the thread that they wore 2018-19, that era with Durant on the team. Definitely a nice thread. Wanted to put a Knicks shirt on today, but can't say they deserve it the way they've been playing recently. So who knows? Maybe by the time I post this, they'll be on a little bit of a winning streak. But right now it's January 21st, and they are slumping. But we don't have to talk about the Knicks today. Again, we're going to talk about the bottom of the league. And listen, you're probably not going to be watching these teams much if you have at all, unless you're a sicko like me. But it's good to look at these teams and see, all right, where's the intrigue? Where are the questions? Some of these a little bit more optimistic than others. But I'm still going to tune into some of the games of these teams because, again, I'm a sicko. But I think a lot of these teams kind of don't need to be watched the rest of the season because these are the teams that I've identified as more or less kaput for this season because they have underperformed or maybe they're just not even trying to win right now. But I think there's a lot of intrigue on all of these teams, whether it be young players, whether it be some more established players that want to be traded. Maybe it's the way they're playing this year. I've identified 7 teams that I think are I'll officially put a fork in for this season. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you think some of these teams have more of a shot, or maybe I should add a one or two. I'll talk about the fringe teams as well. But let's get going. I got 7 teams that I want to talk about the state of the union for. We're going to start in the East. And in the Eastern Conference, I have 3 teams in this category. And the first is the Brooklyn Nets. So, Brooklyn Nets sitting here at 12 and 29, 19 games back from first, and there's 6 out of the play-in. So I'd be pretty stunned if the Brooklyn Nets ended up in the play-in tournament, and I do not think the Brooklyn Nets want to be in the play-in tournament, nor should their fans, because while Brooklyn isn't the most exciting team to watch based on the talent, they are doing things the right way, and they are looking for that pick. They would have loved to have the pick last year. They didn't get that top pick last year, but it seems like another really good draft where there are some guys at the top that can change the fortunes of a franchise. So Brooklyn's looking for that. But first, let's just do a look at what Brooklyn is right now. So I'm going to do a little for all these teams because they're lower. They probably have some intriguing younger guys. So I want to take a look at some of the younger guys just checking in. Brooklyn Nets, let's do a little rookie watch. Everybody laughed or did other things when Brooklyn took 5 guys in the first round last year. And while not all of them have been impact this year, I think they've got some decent production out of some of them. So first we start with Yegor Demin, who they took 8th overall. 10 points per game, 3 assists per game, shooting close to 40% from 3, which was a big question for him coming into the NBA. But that's pretty encouraging. He's only shooting about 41% from the field overall, But that checks out because he's only 19 years old, not super physical the way he plays. But I like what Demon's given them this year, especially given where they took him. I think he plays the right way, and he's a guy that I could see sticking in the NBA, a 6'5" playmaker who clearly has some shot making and who sees the game at a pretty high level. He's averaging 3 assists per game, 3.5, which is pretty good given he's not a primary ball handler, only playing about 25 minutes a game. Danny Wolf, another young guy they took, he's come on a little bit recently, 8 points per game, playing 19 minutes a pop. Drake Powell has a little bit of juice to him. Nolan Traore, they've given some run to recently. I think that's more of an experimental thing. That's how you know the Nets are really looking for future seasons. And then Ben Saraf, he's been kind of going between the G League and the NBA. So that's mostly the rookie watch. Brooklyn's going to be an interesting team at the trade deadline. They have Michael Porter Jr. and Nick Claxton, who are both in their mid-20s, playing at a pretty high level, and a lot of teams would be willing to part with some assets to get out of these guys. So very interested to see that. The Michael Porter Jr. thing is just crazy. 26 a game, shooting 40% from 3, 49 from the field. I didn't see this from Michael Porter Jr. He should be an all-star. We'll see if he gets it. But the more interesting question is Michael Porter Jr. on this team past the all-star, past the trade deadline. So that's Brooklyn. They're looking for a pick. I don't see them getting into the play-in tournament. And again, I don't think their fans would want them to be in the play-in tournament. Okay, going down one rung to the Washington Wizards. In a similar situation to Brooklyn, where they are doing things the right way in terms of looking for that pick, and they have their picks, and right now the goal is to get a top 3 pick in the lottery. Now, the Washington thing has a new cog, obviously, with the Trae Young development, which I did not see coming going into the season. But it does make sense given the way the Trae Young saga unfolded. So I'm not too focused on how the Trae Young thing is going to play out this year. It's more of a next year thing. I'm surprised they even gave a timeline of when he's going to come back. They said through the All-Star break. But I guess it makes sense. And I would be surprised to see Trae Young play more than 10 to 15 games. So that's something that we'll have to wait and see on. But I don't think Trae Young is stopping them from the tank. Let's take a look at rookie watch, just like we did with Brooklyn. So their first-round pick this past season was Trey Johnson. He's giving you 45% from the field, 12 a game, and he's their scorer that has been playing more recently. When I watch him, it's either he's in a rhythm or he's not, which makes sense for a guy that plays like him. But I think he's mostly been what they've expected, and shooting the ball well enough, it's hard to judge too much on Trae. The big thing with Washington this year has been Alex Sarr, and it's hard to say exactly what Alex Sarr is going to be, but he's definitely showing potential to be something that's going to make them feel happy they took him at the second overall pick, especially in a draft where the guy before him was Risa Shea, and I think you're happier with Sarr than Risa Shea in that situation between the two Frenchmen. But leading 2.2 blocks per game is pretty. I was going to say leading the team in blocks. 2.2, pretty solid. 17 a game. The 3-pointer is inconsistent, but he shoots it, and I think that should be a part of his game moving forward. You're happy with that player. Keyshawn George, another guy that's come on pretty strong for them this year. There's not too much to say about Washington. Again, they're still working their way up from the Bradley Beal situation, which I think just took too long to get to this point. But this is part of the deal when you tank. You go through seasons like this. The Trae Young stuff, we will see. There's not too much to say on it right now. I like the value play for Washington to get a point guard in. That's good. It should theoretically make stuff easier for Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, even Trey Johnson. Bilal Coulibaly, a guy we haven't talked about. It's been a little disappointing for Coulibaly this year. He hasn't had that jump even to just solid threat offensively. 10 a game, 39 from the field, 27 from three. Not what you want to see, but hey, can't win them all. We'll see. It's far from over for Koulibaly. Maybe he'll have a strong end to the season, but he's also missed some time as well. Only played 25 games this year. But yeah, Washington, you're done. Put a fork in them. And finally, the strangest situation in the East, the Indiana Pacers, who have the worst record in the NBA. Do they have the worst record in the NBA? They have the worst record in the East, and no, they don't. They have the second worst record in the NBA. A team that made the finals last year. Nobody expected them to be here this far down. People, it's funny how the Celtics and Pacers, which directions they've gone in, but it also makes sense. Pacers had a ton of injuries to start the season, never really got off the mat. The front court we knew was going to be a question mark ever since they decided we're done with Miles Turner. They pivoted to a model where we're just going to do our best around the front court, and the scoring just isn't that good around their troubled front court to make this work. Because if you're going to play a little smaller, a little more up pace, you just need more offensive production, and that's what happens when you lose Tyrese Haliburton, one of the 10 to 15 best players in the league, one of the best offensive engines in the league. They have turned into a really stagnant iso bally team without Haliburton. But it makes sense. This is a stopgap year for them. I mean, I would say rookie watch, but I don't even think they... I'm looking at their players right now, and the young players that are of interest to them. Now, the guy that I am intrigued / disappointed / I guess mostly disappointed is Jarris Walker, because he's the guy they took 6th overall a couple years ago, and he's 22 at this point. And you would hope when you took him, Jarris Walker, this could be an opportunity for him, but it just might not end up happening, especially what he's doing this year. 37% from the field, 9 points per game. It's just not good enough. Pretty much a 1-to-1 turnover ratio, assist to turnover. So that's disappointing. But you still have Pascal Siakam playing at a super high level, and he's getting up there, 31 years old now, but still playing at a very high level. That's a guy that you can win with for the next few years still. Mathurin's been in and out, but he's showed some good stuff when he's been on the floor, 18 a game. So, very weird season for the Pacers. But once they get Haliburton healthy, and we'll see what pick they have, this is a team that going to next year, I mean, you can already see it. The think pieces are going to be out and about to pick the Pacers as their sleeper team in the East, as if that's actually a sleeper team. So, Obi Toppin also has missed the whole season. He's played 3 games. So, that's, they've just had a very disjointed season. And if you're a Pacer fan, you know what you're looking for. You're looking for that pick. So, not really a reason to look too much further into the Indiana Pacers until the lottery. Now, that's all I had in the East. The fringe teams that I could have talked about, Charlotte, they're 3 games up on Brooklyn and still going forward a little bit, playing better basketball recently. Milwaukee, obviously, that's just a whole other conversation. So I think that Brooklyn, Washington, and Indiana are the 3 teams right now in the East that you could say are a done deal in terms of this season, and you could start looking at how do these young players look / what's the next step. So let's go to the Western Conference now. The West, it's a little bit more intrigue because I think there's more star power with these bottom teams. But in terms of the situation, it could be more dark, but we'll get into that on a case-by-case basis. Starting with none other than the Dallas Mavericks, the enigma, the unsolvable, unlogical riddle of the NBA. We got the Luka trade. We know what happens. We know it turned into Anthony Davis, who's really good. How did they not get more in that trade? I don't know. We don't have to talk about that right now. But they got Cooper Flag. And the headline for the Dallas Mavericks is Cooper Flag. I'm a big fan. I think this is a guy that when you get the number 1 overall pick, you want a player of Flag's talent. And he's shown it this year. 19 years old, and he's scoring 19 a game, shooting a pretty high percentage from the field. The three-pointer has been down below 30%. not super surprising. I think he has a good shot where it's going to come around. He's shooting above 80% from the foul line. Uh, it's not the first time we've seen players struggle with the deeper 3-point line right out of college. So, not concerned about that. 4 assists, that definitely sticks out to me. And if you watch him in college, it's not surprising. One of the appeals of Flag is not only is he this switchy, athletic, defensive Swiss Army knife, and then also offensive Swiss Army knife because he can drive the ball and he can play off the dribble. He could play off of closeouts, but he also has a great feel for the game. So you combine all that physical talent with the feel, and you get a player like him that should have all-star games in their future. It's absolutely ridiculous that they lucked into Cooper Flag. On one hand, I am happy because if they didn't get Cooper Flag and say they got a pick they were quote-unquote supposed to get last year, the 8th pick, the 9th pick, whatever, this would be the most dire situation in the NBA. But because those ping pong bulls favored the bold, as Nico said, they got Flag, and there is a light for Dallas. And I'm happy because it would suck to have Dallas as a complete non-factor. It's a fun organization. They've been a fun organization for a while. The Cuban thing, the fan base put into it. You got Dirk. So it would have been sad to see them wither away. So I'm happy that they are irrelevant, but it also does seem very undeserving. But that's okay. That's sports. It's funny stuff. Anthony Davis, he's been doing what Anthony Davis has been doing, which is not playing a whole lot. The offensive production is even down a little bit, but that's kind of what Anthony Davis is at this age. He's a great player who got put in a really difficult situation, and I'm not sure what the future of Anthony Davis in Dallas is. That will be litigated in the future because there's nothing to say right now. He's injured and Dallas is losing games, although they did just beat the Knicks, so that was good. But overall, Dallas, I don't see them making noise right now. And if you're a Mavericks fan, you're just trying to again get another pick and retool, and it's a whole conversation of how you want to play the Anthony Davis / Kyrie Irving situation compared to Flag plus what other young stuff is on your team. It's weird. I don't know how they're going to play it. I'm sure we'll talk about that in the future, but Dallas this season, it's kaput. Going down, the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz make it very clear they don't want to put their best rosters on the floor night in and night out, and that doesn't seem to bother the players too much because despite the funny little video of Will Hardy letting into the team earlier in the season for their effort, I think Utah's effort has been pretty good overall. And whenever they're down guys, they get ridiculous contributions from Yusuf Nurkic. Kevin Love steps in and plays games. Bryce Sensabaugh's scoring 40-plus randomly. So Utah, they're kind of a fun watch, but organizationally, it's weird. Larry Markkinen at the top of the roster, averaging 28 a game, and it just seems like he plays just once a week. And when he does play, now he's played 33 games, which is pretty good, but now he's dealing with an illness, and I don't know what the plan is with Utah and Larry Markkinen. He has a lot of value. You don't have to have your whole team be 21-year-olds, but it does get to the point where if you're not even close to contending, which Utah's not, and they don't really want to be, then Larry Markkinen is not getting any younger. He's 28 years old. Like, how is this a guy you keep on your roster when the value is high and I don't see it getting any higher? Now, I don't know what the market and offers are, but that's going to be something to monitor for sure. Keontae George has been the story of the season for Utah, though, and it'll be interesting to see what he turns into because right now the numbers are crazy. I mean, even watching him, I know that he's been going nuts in these games, and even last night they had an upset win against Minnesota, and he scored 43 going toe-to-toe with Edwards. So It's there. It's there in big games, and it's there against the better teams. 24 a game, just about 7 assists a game, which is impressive. And the assist to turnover ratio isn't horrible. 3.5 turnovers to 6.7 assists. That means he's looking to make plays and get into the line 7 times a game, 90%. I mean, this dude, if he can create shots for himself at this level, all-star is definitely not out of the conversation. So, and if you have a lead guard like that, that makes your life a lot easier. Makes your life a lot easier to draft. So, huge development is Keontae George this season. Probably in the most, even though I hate that award, most improved player running, I'd imagine. In terms of rookie watch, Ace Bailey is the guy that I think is worth watching the rest of the season. They took him 5th overall in the draft after a lot of shenanigans, so to speak. But he ended up here, and I think Ace has potential. Now, he's far from perfect, and right now has a pretty simple role on the team where it's, you come in, you look to score, you look to make one move or move the ball. You're not asked to handle too much, attack closeouts, that kind of thing, try hard on defense. But given he's a 19-year-old dude who's not physically developed to the level of the players that he's going against, I think he's had a pretty solid season, 10.5 points per game, and shooting a solid level. 34% on 4 attempts per game is not bad. He's ready to shoot when he gets the ball. The assist to turnover is expected pretty much 1-to-1, but again, that's not what he's being asked to do right now. And if you have Keontae George as a go-to ball handler, that makes Ace Bailey's life a whole lot easier. So, some interesting stuff there. They have some disappointing elements to the team as well, like the Cody Williams thing. I don't know if that's happening right now. He's averaging 5 points per game. Filipowski has been solid in his minutes, actually, so could have found a good rotational center there. Walker Kessler's missed pretty much the whole season. But, I don't know. Utah, they are what they are. They've been doing this for a few years now. They really want a top 3 pick. They really want it. I don't know if they're going to get it, but watch for Keontae George. All right, we got 2 teams left. The saddest situation, in my opinion, is this team, the Sacramento Kings. And it's just disheartening to see them wither away from what they were a few years ago, where it was so fun, and you're lighting the beam, and you're going to 7 against Golden State. Even though you're losing, you're going to 7, and Steph Curry goes off for 50 in Game 7 in your building. That sucks, but hey, at least you're experiencing that. That's fun. And now we have turned into just the Kings again, and it's the same thing, and I feel like I'm watching DeMarcus Cousins and Rajon Rondo all over again, and Rudy Gay, because now we are losing many games, and DeMar DeRozan is playing 34 minutes a game at 36 years old. Russell Westbrook is playing 30 minutes a game at 37 years old. Dennis Schroeder, we're paying a lot of money to score 12 points per game. And it's a tough situation for Sacramento because they had assets and they didn't get the good value of it. Even with the Sabonis trade, and Sabonis has been good for the Kings, the Sabonis-Haliburton trade, the writing was on the wall. Even though, sure, that might have made you a slightly better team in that precise moment because you still had De'Aaron Fox and you wanted to pair De'Aaron Fox with a big man, the writing was on the wall that Sabonis and Haliburton were not going to be of equal value soon. And it was soon. It was pretty much, even though Sacramento was winning games, the value of having Sabonis over Haliburton was not good for your franchise. And that's clear as day right now. And now Sabonis is injured and barely played this season and is on a contract that nobody wants. So I'll explain why I say this is the worst situation instead of the team below me, which is below Sacramento, which is also not good. But there's just not a whole lot of value on this roster. Keegan Murray is good. He's good. He's not great. He's injured this year. They paid him a lot of money. His numbers are solid, but, when you watch Kings broadcasts, especially a year or two ago, and, God bless the Kings broadcast. They do a good job overall. They know their stuff. But as every broadcast, they're a little bit of a homer squad. And they're talking about Keegan Murray all-star potential. Keegan Murray can elevate his game. Keegan Murray is a good player on both ends. he's not a great player on either end. And he's not going to be a guy you're going to build your offense around. His assist to turnover, I'm big on assist to turnover because to me it shows your capacity to be a playmaker. And for him, 1-to-1, 1.5 assists, 1.2 turnovers. That's who Keegan Murray is, and he can shoot the ball. Although this year he was not shooting the ball well at all. He's barely played this year, 19 games. So that's like your best asset right now, which probably isn't where you want to be. I mean, in terms of other young guys, Nick Clifford has given them solid minutes. Maxine Reynaud has given you solid minutes. You could find you probably have found maybe a starting level center. Maybe Maxine Reynaud turns into Zubats. That's like the best case scenario, which is good. But this team also really needs a top pick. They really need a top pick, which is why they might be in a slightly better situation than the team below them who doesn't have their top pick, but it's close. Okay, let's just jump to that team. The worst team in the NBA is the New Orleans Pelicans, who don't have their pick, which is sad. It's very sad. And it's sad because I like Derek Queen a lot, who was the reason they got rid of that pick, because they fell so in love with Derek Queen. And is there a possibility that Derek Queen ends up being better than whoever's taken first overall? Cam Boozer or H. DeBonsa or Darren Peterson? Is there a possibility Derek Queen is better than those players? There's a possibility. It's not 0%. It's unlikely. And that's what you gave up. And the thing is, you could have maybe had Derek Queen in some capacity. Well, you definitely could have if you took him with the Jeremiah Fears pick. So you would have Derek Queen, maybe not Jeremiah Fears, maybe just one of those two plus whatever pick you're going to get. But I don't know. We're getting too far down. The Pelicans are really bad this year. And it is sad because I thought they could have been better because they have good players that are fun to watch. I mean, Zion Williamson, that's where this conversation really should start, because this was the guy that they drafted 7 years ago at this point to be the face of the franchise that is going to lead them to playoff wins and whatever else is going to come. And Zion Williamson has not played in a playoff game. And it is what it is with Zion Williamson. He's played 29 games this year. He's a very good player. I do have some gripes with how he's developed, but I think that is just what happens when you're inconsistently available and consistently to be in the right frame of mind, physical shape, all of that to be the best version of yourself. Because Zion is good, but he's fallen out of that conversation of a top 10 to 15 player. Like, he's not there. So at this point, Zion Williamson is a little bit of a distressed asset. I shouldn't even say a little bit. He clearly is. Even though he's not the reason they're losing games. The reason they're losing games is all the other stuff. They don't have a valid center rotation. Their point guard stuff is completely inconsistent with Jeremiah Fears, who I like a lot, but he's a rookie, and Jordan Poole is doing, Jordan Poole things and shooting below 40% from the field. Trey Murphy has been awesome. He's your best asset. 22 a game. He's a knockdown shooter who could play some defense. A little bit overrated, I think, defensively. But yeah, it's not a good roster. They had no business trading out of the first round pick. The reason I do think it's a slightly better situation than Sacramento is because you still have some young players with more value than Sacramento. Because even though it's amazing to have your picks, you need your picks to get those top blue chip players. Having the young players that you see, and just, I guess for my purposes, maybe I'm biased towards seeing the actual players, but I like seeing the potential rather than the theoretical potential, especially if you don't even know which young player you're getting, because we've seen with the draft lottery, wacky stuff happens. So this could end up not being as catastrophic as it also could be. So, if you're the Pelicans, it could be the first pick, or it could also be the sixth pick or the fifth pick, whatever. So, but if I'm assessing value, I would rather have Derek Queen, Jeremiah Fears, still Zion Williamson, Trey Murphy, even Misi's okay. Yeah, I'd rather have those guys than the assets of Sacramento, which are Maxine Reynaud and Keegan Murray and Nick Clifford. Yeah. But it's not good for the Pelicans either. But hey, it could always be worse. I guess you could be the Kings, or maybe not. I don't know. You can decide. Well, that's it. That's the bottom of the NBA, and that's the state of the union of those teams. Again, I'm still gonna watch some of them because why not? But I do think those teams they're kaput for this season. None of them are gonna make any noise, so I thought it was a good time to discuss them. So, thanks for tuning in. Hoping to do these every week or so. Just get some thoughts out in the NBA. Looking forward to collabing with people. And thanks for watching. Buddha Talks Hoops.